Okay, let's get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. It's great to have you all, and thank you so much for having myself and Jen. So the way it will go today is we're going to do a little bit of a presentation on open sponsorship and on 1MD Nutrition. So please feel free to start asking questions in the chat if you have any questions that come to mind. We'll get to the questions at the end. Yeah, and enjoy. We're really happy to have everybody here. So I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction, and I'll start with myself. So hi, I'm Laura. I'm the account director at Open Sponsorship. I manage the team of account managers at Open Sponsorship, an awesome team that I have working underneath me. They're the ones that are responsible for all the amazing work that comes out of Open Sponsorship, which you'll see on our LinkedIn, social media, everywhere and anywhere. So what we do is connect brands to athletes, and we have a really successful time doing it. I'd love to pass over to Jen to do a little introduction to herself.
Yeah, hi everyone. So thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm so happy to be here talking to one of our favorite vendors at 1MD Nutrition. I am the creative brand manager for 1MD Nutrition. We work with doctors to formulate clinically validated formulas. We're sort of like in the boomer space, a lot of condition specific formulas that we develop. And yeah, we've been working with Open Sponsorship now for about 2 years, and looking forward to growing our partnership and ROI, of course.
Amazing. Thanks, Jen. All right, so I will tell you a little bit about Open Sponsorship if anybody doesn't know. Open Sponsorship, we are a athletes marketplace, and what that means is we've got over 18,000 athletes on our platform. So we've been around for just over 8 years now. We basically connect brands to athletes to do amazing sponsorship and marketing campaigns. So that could be anything from a long-term sponsorship deal with somebody like LeBron James to a one-off activation on social media for a small one-man band. So anyone and everyone. We've had over 15,000 deals come through the platform, $50 million revenue come through, which is awesome. And we're really happy to continue and see where the world takes us. And then over to you, Jen.
Yeah, so our parent company is Scale Media, and Scale Media oversees 5 brands in the health and wellness and beauty space. 1MD Nutrition is one of those brands. We're the legacy brand, a premium supplement brand, as I mentioned before. And yeah, we've been in the space since 2015.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go back to some basics on athletes and athlete influencer marketing. And as I said, as we go through, please fire any questions over that you think of. So we get asked a lot of the time, why should we work with athletes? What is so successful about athletes as opposed to, standard influencers? And the reason we always recommend working with athletes is athletes have a huge dedicated following. Their following's loyal. People don't just follow them because they like what they're wearing on their shoes. They follow their journey. They want to see how their career is going within the sport that they're in. They want to see their lifestyle, their health tips, their fitness, anything and everything. They're following the whole journey. And then moving on from that, what we tend to see once we've created this amazing content with athletes and we put that content into adverts through social media channels or any means necessary for adverts, the return on ad spend is 7 times, which is incredible within the industry if you don't know industry standards. And then after that, overall, we end up seeing a really, really proven return on investment. So sports fans are more than 1.6 times more likely to purchase when an athlete mentions it. And we have a lot of case studies that show this, particularly within the ad spend element. So a lot of the questions that we get asked is, will I get my return on investment? And the answer is yes. And we've proven that many times over. Okay, so how do we find the perfect athlete? You've decided you want to work with athletes, but how do we know that athlete's going to be right for your brand? And there's obviously hundreds of thousands of athletes out there. So there's many ways in which we can search through our athlete pool to make sure that we're working with the right athlete for you. So this is just like a really basic overview of the options that we go through, and there's different ways of doing it, but this is just a really easy, simple way to show you how we could do it behind the scenes. So the most important thing when you're looking at working with athletes is understanding your audience, first of all. So what are your demographics? What are your age ranges of your audience? Where do they live? What's their gender? And knowing all that allows us to then move forward looking for athletes. So on our platform, we have a really easy system where you can filter through all of that. So you can filter through things like hobbies, social stats. We can even search who's talking about coffee on their social media. So it gets really in depth. Following on, we find you the match with athletes. We review those audiences to make sure that your audiences meet their audiences. And then we review the metrics. So we've matched the audience, we've matched your athletes, but we want to make sure we're giving you that top 10% of those athletes. So who's got the best engagement rate? Who's had the most success with creating content? Who's got great reach across their social media channels? And then finally, we end up locking in the athlete. Another question I get asked quite a lot, and this is really a difficult question, because when people say, well, how much will this person cost me? I wish I could give you a price that would be the same for everything they do at any time in the year, but certain factors come into play. So to give you an example, if you wanted to work with, a huge NFL star and it was height of NFL season, their price would probably be double than what it would be out of NFL season. So there's lots of variations and differentiators in the background that sort of match the price points that we would be looking for. But this is a great place to start. This is our player rate card. We have everything on here from superstar to niche athletes. Your superstar could be somebody like LeBron James or Wayne Rooney, Shaquille O'Neal, people with hundreds and hundreds of millions of thousands of followers on their social media. A one-time post, you'd be looking at 25,000, all the way up to a long-term ambassadorship, which could be at least 200,000. We've done things, long-term sponsorships, which could be up to 1 million, even more when it comes to the big names in particular. And then you could look at your more niche athletes. So really popular at the minute is pickleball. Pickleball used to be quite a niche sport. It seems to be becoming more and more progressive within the industry, and more and more people seem to be taking it on. But really, really simply at the minute, the price point is quite low because it's still classed as niche. So you can snap up somebody within the pickleball industry for $500 to up to $5,000. So that's where we're here. We're here to give you that advice, make sure that you're really competent on the price points, and recommend from there. Sorry. Ready? There we go. Okay, so when we work with brands come to us and everybody has a different ask. We have brands who want to work with us on an always-on basis, who always want to work with athletes in the background for their campaigns throughout the year. We work with brands who want to work with one person on a long-term sponsorship, or they want to work with somebody for an event where they need a sports star to attend. And then we have brands who like to activate during certain campaigns. And that's exactly what we did with 1MD. So Jen's going to talk you through one of the campaigns that we did with 1MD, which was hugely successful. The campaign was called Giving Tuesday. So I'll pass over to you if that's okay, Jen.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually quickly want to tell a cool story, because this was sort of like how we met, our long fates, kismet brought us together. And I think this will be fun for all the other brands in the audience, because as marketers and brand creatives, like those unicorn moments are really few and far between. So one morning I get into the office with a Slack sitting in my inbox from our social manager, who says, Venus Williams just tagged us in a post on Instagram. And I was like, obviously it's a fake post. I mean, it's not really Venus Williams. And it was actually Venus Williams. And she literally takes our vision product. And that was sort of like how we found open sponsorship. We started speaking with her agency. We were, working on a deal. And that's still sort of like, in progress, but past that, as Laura was mentioning, you know, there's many ways for us to work together. We did decide to have like that year-long partnership where we're always activating certain athletes for smaller things, but Giving Tuesday was definitely, I think at that point, this was 2022's campaign. This was the biggest activation that we did with you guys last year. And yeah, it really made such an impact. It was the first time as a brand we had ever paired a Giving Tuesday campaign or a give back initiative with our Black Friday sale. And it massively increased ROI. So we're really excited for this year's. But yeah, let's walk you guys through. So we work with a charity partner, annual giving with Vitamin Angels. So this campaign really focused on a give back initiative for 5% of all of our CardioFit MD sales, which was our hero SKU last year that we were really pushing. So we wanted to, you know, put a spotlight on that product for this campaign. And so what we saw, just organic social engagement was over 5%, which you guys all know, like, you know, it's that is like rock star engagement. Average CPE was, you know, under $2. Year over year ROI new. We kind of break it down internally. I don't know, you know, what you guys do on your brands, but we sort of break these buckets into ROI new and then ROI increase. So we saw 16% and 15% across the board last year, which was staggering. We were not expecting that for sure.
No, and it was great on our part as well. We absolutely loved it.
Yes, yes. And the great part was that, you know, these are all the athletes that we worked with, and they all loved the product so much that they kept asking for more. You know, a few of these athletes we've continued to work with on kind of like a casual basis. We're still kind of dipping our toes in. We really want to double down on longer term partnerships with athletes. So we're testing with our media team, and we're slowly building up to that. But I will say that all of these athletes, they were so authentic. To your point, Laura, they really don't do it if they don't feel it. And we've had that experience where we'll reach out to someone who we're really interested in working with, and they're just very transparent, which I love. I think transparency across the board is a really beautiful human trait. So to have people on board working with you who are true fans of you, your brand, your product is what makes our job so fun. And we increased our total site users during our Black Friday sale by a 10% lift, which was also massive, and 14% directly from social, from all of those posts. And then estimated, just specific to the influencer ROI, was 96%, which is massive, massive.
I just wanted to ask Jen on the point about the athletes who weren't 100% sure whether they wanted to go with the campaign for any reasons. Do you have athletes that come to you, or influencers that want to try the products before they go ahead? And amazing.
Absolutely. We tried to send at least 3 months supply of products. We want them to be intimately familiar with the product, experience it, understand if it's actually something that is going to be useful to them in their lives. And some athletes that we have worked with in the past that we aren't actively engaging with right now, we're still sending product out to them because they really connected with that product and it's working for them. So at the end of the day, that's really what it is for us. It's just about facilitating health. And it just makes it the icing on the cake that it's these incredible professional athletes that are gravitating towards our products for their health routine.
I love that. And I love the fact that it's a naturally organic fit for working with the athletes, and they genuinely love the brand. And this is why the results are so successful, because that's what really matters, that it's so organic, it's natural, and people believe it.
So, exactly. And I can tell you this, like, until that fateful day that Venus will volumes posted on our Instagram. We really weren't, I mean, this was not really even on our radar. Our demo is really strongly rooted in the boomer space. And because a lot of our products are very condition specific, as I mentioned earlier. And so people come to us looking for solutions to chronic problems. And so athletes weren't really, but athletes have chronic problems too. And when we sort of like, when that bell went off in our heads, we were like, this could be really interesting for us to explore. And of course, elite athletes who have incredible health regimens and get injured. And I think that whole story and how your product can tie into their story is very aspirational to those who watched them on the field or off the field. So yeah, it's a really beautiful story, I think.
Thank you so much. And then we have another campaign that we had huge success in. So this followed on from the Giving Tuesday campaign last year. This was towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, all about new year, new you. And athletes tie into this perfectly. You start the new year, everybody wants to be health conscious. And what better audiences than athlete audiences? It's naturally what they do for their job. So let Jen talk about this campaign and the huge success we had here again.
Yeah, so this was a fun campaign, sort of broke away from our more serious, messaging and things like that. Commit to the Fit, Cardio Fit, again, because it was our hero SKU last year, really wanted to focus in on that, creating an easy daily habit with that product, which is a powder, scoopable, mixable drink. And yeah, again, like saw incredible, even lower average CPE, like almost $1, which is unheard of, and massive 32% increase in ROI new. So bringing in new customers from those channels, which was like so fun to see. And then I want to go to the slide because Alan Lazard, I don't know if anyone here is or football. Like I'm a huge football girl, like grew up in New Orleans. And so I'm a huge Saints fan, and working with these pro NFLers always, doesn't matter what team. So to have Alan on this campaign with us, I was definitely girl fanning. And so he does this great series on his TikTok channel called Juice of the Day. And we were like, well, he's going to make Cardio Fit. That's going to be his juice of the day. And we pitched it to him and he loved it. And he killed it. He absolutely killed it. He brought in like double the sales of all of the other activations that we had. And I will say that he was the only athlete in this campaign. The rest we source from our internal influencer team, because we were sort of also wanting to hit on those notes of like habit hacking and stacking and things like that. But he blew them all out of the water.
Good. I'd like to hear.
Yeah, estimated, 126% return on investment. Just incredible. Oh, I know. Rough week I heard the whole New York. Oh my God, I heard that. I'm sorry. I mean, it's been a rough couple years for the Saints, so I hear you. But yeah, New Year, New You was incredibly successful. It was actually the first time that we had done an omni-channel campaign for a New Year, New You. And so this is a really great baseline for us, which we're in planning stages right now for this year's New Year, New You, and already finished recruiting for this year's Giving Tuesday with open sponsorship. So we doubled down on this year's campaigns, and we're working with Bodie Miller, which I'm just like mind blown that we're working with him, and Christy Rampone's coming back to work with us. She's like a goddess. Everyone knows who she is. And she really loves 1MD, which is just like, it makes me come into work happy every day. So yeah,
double the results again this year. So we'll be
yes
together.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the award that you've been nominated for?
Yes. Next week on the 21st on Thursday, we will find out if our product OsteoMD, which is right here, OsteoMD, is nominated for a Nexty for best conditions specific supplement, which is
Incredible.
such an honor. It's just absolutely incredible. It's our second. Thank you. Thank you, Adrian. This is the second time since I've been at Scale that 1MD has been nominated for a Nexty. The first time was 2019 for our Liver MD product. And it's always such an honor to be recognized by, industry leaders, and it makes what we do all worth it. So yeah, thank you.
Be on the lookout. I can't wait to see.
Fingers
I'm sure you
crossed.
will. Like, this time next week we'll be celebrating, I'm sure.
Definitely.
I've got a couple of questions for Jen, but please start asking questions in the chat. I've also got some of my own made questions, which we can go through if necessary. But I would love to hear from you, Jen, if you could give anyone any advice. So somebody who's exploring working with athletes at the minute, would you have any advice that you could give them to get them started? Anything that, that you would see would be really successful?
I would say, look, I think that I kind of made a mistake in the beginning where I went for the big fish right out of the gate. I was like, Venus Williams, she's going to work with us and we're going to sign a deal with her. This was like a year and a half ago. We're still working on that. So start small, test into it, optimize your funnels, work with your media team, and understand like how your audience is responding to these athletes, what their affinities are, what sports your audience loves. I think those affinity categories are great to dig into. We're doing that now as well. We've mainly sort of focused on NFL, and now I think we're branching out more into that, like sailing and pickleball. You mentioned, those affinity categories that that really align with our demo. And then play with it. I would say definitely play around with it, because although my executives were and myself as well aligned with like, oh, we should work with retired athletes, because that's our audience and all this stuff. But I think they're depending on the sport and the athlete, obviously there are definitely audiences that are older or will match you, whatever your demo is, that doesn't necessarily reflect that particular athlete. Alan Lazard is the perfect example because he's super young and super fun. Like he's like, if you looked at him, you wouldn't necessarily think like, oh, he aligns, with the 1MD brand voice and tone, but he killed it. He killed it. And he was so fun to work with. So yeah, I would just say, be open, test, have fun, and you'll definitely see an ROI we have for sure.
Thank you. And another question for you, Jen. So a lot of brands come to us and I ask them at the initial conversation when we first meet them, we have a kickoff call, we call it, and we say, so what does success look like for you? And a lot of people don't know what success looks like. They don't have marketing teams internally. They're there to ask for our support in that direction. So with the campaigns that you've done with us, we've had huge success in sales, ROI, all that sort of stuff. But what about content? Does content have a big impact on your campaigns when you're deciding who you're working with? Or is it all just about driving sales?
It's definitely content. I would say, yeah, absolutely. And that's another great thing about working with open sponsorship is that a lot of the partnerships that we have, even though it was like, just for one specific campaign, we were able to negotiate ad usage rights for, content to be used across omni-channel. So we're able to leverage all of this great, like athletes using our products everywhere. And I think that it's not just about that one-off post, but also being able to leverage all of that within your ads, within your email, SMS, on social organically, all of that stuff. I think it works. And on your e-com site, even wherever you'd like to test it.
Awesome.
And I think like also working with open sponsorship, there are so many times where we, of course, will have like very specific directives and a whole like long deck and strategy and all this stuff. But then Staley, who is our like open sponsorship rep, she'll come back and be like, Jen, I just pulled this whole list. This list is it's killer. And I would say 85 to 90% of the time she's right. She is so smart and she knows the space so well. We feel so supported and guided by Open Sponsorship, and their ability to help us win every time.
Oh, thank you. And we love
Mhm.
Staley. Yeah, she's off on maternity leave at the minute. She's had a beautiful little baby. So we'll
Yeah.
all the luck, but we can't wait to have her back either. We've got some questions coming through here. How do you know if the brand is a good fit for an athlete slash influencer? So, particularly when it comes to working with athletes, a lot of brands just assume that you have to be in the health and wellness, fitness, all that space. But that's not necessarily always the case. So, we have a lot of financial brands that we work with who have huge success with us, and many other categories similar to that. So, there's always a way that you can work with athletes. So if you want to have a return on investment, if you want to create content that you can reuse on your social media, on your website, in your marketing, it's always a good idea to work with athletes because it's that recognizable face. People know that person through association of, watching the TV, watching the sport. So they instantly trust the brand. So there's a lot of reasons why brands are a good fit for athletes. And then number 2 to that, does deal structure vary based on company stage, i.e. fees versus equity versus performance-based, etc.? Okay, so every company that comes through to Open Sponsorship has an individual need, an individual ask. Everybody has their own budget that they work with, which we will work within. And they have their own, specifics that they need to get out of the campaign. They have their own deliverables. Everybody's completely individual. So yes, the deal structure varies based on the company, but we have a set finance structure. So if you wanted to join us on a self-service option of the platform, there's a set price. If you wanted to join the full service option, there's a set price. And that full service option is where you get the support, which Jen was talking about, with an account manager who does all the strategy and basically sets you up for success. Okay, so
And I will just add to that, it is so worth the money. And it's really not that much. It's really not that much monthly, to be honest with you. The full service, that she handles all the negotiations, all of the communications, the delivery of all of the files and any questions back and forth. I mean, it's well worth the money. I'll just add that.
Jen, I appreciate it. Okay. Oh, another question. So could you please elaborate on what types of content you collaborate with influencers, celebrities on? What channels do you recommend receive the best reach and return? So yes, of course. I'll touch on some bits that we have success in, and then I think Jen could probably touch on, the channels that she sees the most success in as well. So just to give you an example, we completed a deal recently with Alex Albon. He's an F1 driver and a very large mobile phone brand. They wanted to work mostly on Instagram, and most of the brands that we work with do want to work on Instagram. And how they usually do it is they create all the content on Instagram and then they share it to another channel like TikTok or Twitter. But just to give you an example of where we're seeing success with the Alex Albon content, is it was a video reel. So the video reel has seen amazing views, amazing engagement. The CPM has been unreal in it. And how that happened is because we created the reel, we then shared it to a story, we then shared it to a story again 2 days later. So as long as you've created that video content, and the fact that you can get athletes to reshare it really, really drives that engagement. So I don't know, Jen, if you see success on certain channels at all.
Yeah, for sure. I think also obviously depends on what your goals are, what your KPIs are. Reach, obviously, you're really speaking more towards social and things like that. Return, where we always see the biggest return would be on our product detail pages, whether that's our e-com site or our marketplace pages. We do leverage these athletes as endorsers for the time that we have ad usage rights with them. And we always see an incredible increase on conversion rates. And that's why we continue to work with them. So yeah, I would say that I think for sure leveraging them on your e-com sites and things like that, I would say have the biggest return on investment for sure.
Okay, this is a question for you, Jen. Do you offer any ongoing affiliate commission to your athlete partners if they continue to promote your brand post sponsorship?
So yeah, we do have affiliate programs, and this has always been sort of like a talking point. But to be honest with you, no athletes have really been interested in receiving affiliate commissions. It's easy to sign up we could even facilitate signing them up to our program, but it's never been something that any of them have ever sort of asked to to pursue. But yeah, it's an option.
Okay, so wondering if athletes can help drive in-store sales with a brand that makes it into a test with a new retailer. Oh, absolutely. So driving in-store sales is something that we have huge success with as well. We've recently done it with a brand that we worked with, Bass Pro. If you don't know Bass Pro, they are an outdoorsy fishing. I mean, you probably know Bass Pro, they're huge. So yeah, we had huge success there. And the way that we do it is really easy to do with the content. So the call to actions within the content will be specifically to drive people into store. So get this promotion if you go into store, or it could be location based. You know, for an example, we may have an athlete that will be at a store opening. So we work closely with Finish Line. They're transferring all their stores over to JD Sports. They absolutely love working with us to have an athlete at the opening of the new store, or if they have special events in store, and just having that person there, they promote it on their social channels. It just drives people in. So the foot traffic within store is always increased. And there's many options in which we can do that as well. All right. So I've got a couple of questions that I can go through if anybody else hasn't. So I think we've gone through this one, we've gone through this one. Okay, this is interesting. So when we talk to brands, they always ask us, you know, this is an amazing one for you, for Jen, actually, with the Venus Williams. If they tag you in it, then yes, you absolutely know that they're using your product. But there is other ways to find out whether athletes are using your product. So particularly within our platform, we have options where you can search through all of the social media posts that athletes have done over the past years. So you can literally just search your brand name, and you can see whether or not they're tagged, they've tagged you in a post, or they're just talking about your post organically. There's other ways by reaching out. So we have a huge connection with agents who are agents for athletes who may not necessarily be on our platform. So we can send a mass email, hey, have you got somebody within your rota who already organically uses this brand or uses this product? Okay, got that one. All right, I think if anyone hasn't got any more questions, you got anything else you want to say, Jen, or?
I can jump in here for a quick second. So thank you both also for hosting this mentor hour. I also want to just quickly drop here some contact information of our speakers today so that you can continue to stay connected. The presentation will be routed following this call in case you want to reference it for anything in the future or contact Open Sponsorship directly. Yeah, and thank you again to Open Sponsorship for becoming a corporate emerging member. I'm very excited to collaborate with you guys in the future. Again.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.